I have not come to bury this book, although God knows I want to fucking do that at this rate. I have not come to praise it either. Wait, no, we're not talking about Mouse Guard, are we? Fuck. Sorry, I had a funeral speech and everything prepared for that. Fuck, we're at the bad book. Okay, name's Adam.
Impcit.
And we're up for more multiverse of sadness, multiverse of badness, not the multiverse of gladness. That went the way of the dodo. So I don't remember too good where we were. I was too busy being completely deranged.
Well, for those of you who don't remember or choose not to remember, we were talking about the GURPS Infinite Worlds book and the fact that our heroes are an essentially a supernatural national organization for a world where they don't seem to give a shit about refugees because they kick them off to another planet.
Oh wait,
Uh,
this is the evil UN setting, isn't it?
yes.
Oh God. Oh God, that happened.
The one where they're also fighting against the time-traveling French.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the Anglo-French were actually better people than the fucking good guys. Yeah, I'm remembering now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, now I remember. It had Lord Cecil Rhodes as like one of their fucking advisors and everything. Jesus Christ. Oh no. Oh no, I am not properly ready for this. Fuck it, we're doing it anyway.
Let's
Where were
go.
where were we on this again?
I believe we were at page 68. So now
Oh,
we're going to be talking about the Cabal.
oh wait, that means we went past the Nazis?
Yes, we passed the Nazis.
Oh God, it's all downhill from here. Oh no.
So besides the Anglo-French
Okay, here
alliance,
we go. We made it to the. Okay, here we are.
evils.
The Cabal, the Illuminati, because
Well,
their
no. So
thing.
we have the Anglo-French alliance. We have evil UN. We have Nazis, and now we have wizards.
If I wanted a wizard conspiracy, I'd just play Mage of the Ascension. Actually, can we talk about Ars Magica instead? I really want to talk about Ars Magica over this. Or
No, we're doing that in a different
what what,
timeline.
what was that
We have to do
terrible
this
Wicca
one.
book that was shown in the Discord, which we have a link to? What was that one again? The horrible Wicca book? Can we look at the horrible Wicca book instead? No. Okay.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, I have gotten something to drink. Let me enjoy this.
So the Cabal appears to be a conspiracy of monsters, sorcerers, and psionic masters.
Oh, it's so good. Sorry. What?
So basically, it's monsters, sorcerers, psychics that are this cabal. Uh, it's apparently connected to another GURPS book. Uh,
Oh.
the patrol
It's
has not
doing the
found the
thing
Earth.
most people hate about multiverses. Gotta get our other book to understand who these cunts are. Uh.
I do like this line here. If there is only one such Earth, Baron Janos Tel, a vampire who works for ISWAT, says he left the Cabal's homeworld one step ahead of the Cabal, but his description doesn't match the other information available.
Who?
So not only do they have Cecil Rhodes, they have a vampire working for them.
Who?
The UN.
Oh, this is supposed to be one of their OCs. I don't know who that is. I don't give a
I
shit
don't-
who Glub Shido is. God damn.
so it appears to be just an unknown conspiracy of various
Oh no, it's even more
things.
annoying. I think it's ripping off Stargate because they have a Mad Pharaoh character.
Yeah, but they're aliens. In this case, they're just from other
Oh.
Earths.
Wait, did they just. Is this just fucking. Oh, I wanted to. Kill yourself, Nathan Richards, you fuck! You fuck!
So apparently,
This is just
the Cabal
fucking
have
Ramatite! Ah! If I wanted to see that,
only a
I'd just see Ant-Man 3. He's in there. They got Jonathan Majors to play him. I don't want this.
so
Ah!
we have apparently Cabals have lodges, and such lodges include Ominous Albany, which I
Who?
guess is English, the Blind Heroes Lodge,
I hate
Seeking
Mordecai.
Out the Fountain of Youth, the Golden Fleece, the Philosopher's Stone, uh,
And
the
the
Golden Lodge of
Spear of
Aston.
Destiny, because they proclaim to be the Jabberwocky. Oh
Sure,
God, I wish we didn't stop here. Oh God, I hate them already. Oh God, there's like a
the
bunch of
Lodge,
lodges. God damn it.
the Lodge of the Midwinter Batten, which is led by a werewolf mage. Its emblem is a black left-handed swastika on a white disc. Oh, so this is where Get Fenris come from.
I hate this so much. I
There's a parent.
I hate this
I'm gonna
so
say move
much.
on from this. We're gonna move on to now the um, interdimensional crime agencies.
Oh, is it because it's too boring? Is that why?
I don't want you to die, and I'll have to take over the stream.
Thanks for the concern.
Also, there's a
They
funny
look
image
very boring,
on.
by the way. Like I'm just kind of skimming. They're very boring.
Well, though, page 70, I do like that the uh, whatever they're carrying is called nose candy.
Can't
That's
call it
funny.
cocaine. Can't call it cocaine.
Um,
Oh, really, you cunts? You had to drag the Chicago outfit back from its coffin? Motherfucker, if I want to deal with them, I'd just read a goddamn World of Darkness book. Al Capone's in like half of the clan books. Mm, fucking Christ.
then there's the Russian mafia.
Get some new material, fuckers! At least the Russian mob is something different. In fact, that's the only difference so far.
Triads, uh, Australian bogans, uh, and I guess other criminals.
Scum and villainy, which makes them no different from the other scum and villainy we read about before. No, seriously, the goddamn UN is a million times more interesting than this because at least of all the horrible things they do.
Yeah, because they're evil.
Don't worry, guys. I made sure to take precautions. I have drinks. We're fine.
And then
Mm.
there's the parachronozoids.
No, you forgot the cool.
Naturally,
You
world.
forgot the goofy one, where you kidnap people from the past. I don't know why this would be. Why would you would waste all of the money and infrastructure to do this? But yeah, you can time nap someone. Maybe it's so you can sell illicit plays of Shakespeare. Like you have Shakespeare trapped in your fucking closet, and he has to write a
A
bunch of new
thousand,
sonnets.
no, 1,000 Shakespeares on a typewriter.
I don't think 1,000 Shakespeares in a typewriter in the dark could write something as bad as the Marvels or She-Hulk.
That's the plan.
Is that how
Eventually,
they're
they will
training
write.
AI?
No. Eventually, if you get 1,000 Shakespeares to type up a play, eventually one of them will make something that is absolutely shit.
Okay, at least that's interesting. That and the looters, where you actually steal stuff. Oh, also don't forget the stealing of famous pretty women for human trafficking purposes.
Sex slavery.
Quality. And apparently women who want to bear the natural child of Elvis Presley or Alexander Megas.
Again, sex slavery.
This
But
is...
eugenics this time.
Oh, God, I think this might be one of the worst places to take a break in this book. So far, no one from Homeland has reported a parallel Earth with reliable technological faster than light travel. Although this planet has its own. Okay. So we're
And then
getting
the
a
other
bit
thing
of.
is,
It's called the Fermi paradox. We're starting to see a little bit of them ripping the Fermi paradox.
I don't know how you can rip it off if it's a proposed theory.
Well, because it's the same concept. If there's a bunch of advanced intelligent life out in the universe, why aren't we seeing evidence of it at all?
Space is fucking big.
Well, no, there's also a bunch of because you'd think that hypothetically, if you had advanced species out there, you'd be able to see signs like that, such as gravitational lens flaring or radio signals and shit like that. Don't worry, servant. I made a point to make sure I got some funny water so that I don't lose my shit.
Oh,
I came damn close when we were looking at the fucking cabal, because
don't.
it's the boring. It's the you know how they could have fixed the cabal. Just make it the Stonecutter Society from The Simpsons. Fuck it. I don't care. The No Homers Club. Fuck it. That would have been more interesting than what they did. God.
It's a cabal to find the legendary universe where The Simpsons is still good.
Also, people who say that, just as an aside, people who are out there saying, "Oh, the multiverse got tired because of Rick and Morty," motherfuckers, you've never watched an episode of Star Trek, have you? Parallels, man, fucking parallels. In the mirror universe,
I mean,
actually. Honestly, the concept's
it,
been in print and in media much longer than that. It's just corporations realized it's a cynical way to keep pumping the same shit over and over again until the heat death of the universe. Mm.
it's also more so that it's just alternate realities that are not too dissimilar.
Also, if you're wondering, Servant
Oh,
of Wrath, the Cabal is very boring. It's literally just a secret magical society. It's really boring. I don't know why it
it's
had
some.
its own little subsection. Like, it had its own little chapter. Like it's 2 pages long and it's all shit. Like the whole thing about it is it's just kind of a crappier Illuminati. They're kind of boring. At least the thieves have a couple of interesting ones. Speaking of interesting, time monsters.
Time monsters? What are those?
Hey Tech, I also this is a great book. This is a great book. So we're about to talk about time monsters.
The first one up is Aaron, a man in dark glasses who appears on lonely roads driving a black automobile. And basically, you take a ride with him, and he talks about his family. At the end, he drops the passenger off wherever they want and leaves with a gift. They say he might be a bodhisattva, so
Or
who
a
Or a
knows?
tulpa
tulpa.
created by psychotic projections and hallucinations.
And there's
Also,
gargoyles.
Scroll Killer, they can go fuck themselves. They can go fuck themselves. Don't you do your cross promo shit in a multiverse book. It's proving, it's fucking proving that this is why multiverses are poop. Also, apparently gargoyles are multiversal. Wait, does that mean that Symbiotic could sue this motherfucker? Cause this is starting to remind me of Rifts.
Well, those aren't naturally multiversal.
Yeah, but they got gargoyles and they're an interdimensional thingy. Apparently they're like pigeons.
Ah, yes. pigeons. They totally have carry bones and try to attack everything. I mean,
And
I
there's
guess with carrier pigeons they could work, because who the fuck's gonna interrupt a giant flying gargoyle carrying a message?
They prefer
But
world. They like to eat world jumpers. So what happens is, like you're wandering through a city, and then the statues on the cathedral come to life and try to eat you. Either that, or they look for the people who have the most blood and guts to rip and tear. I'm not buying your book. In fact, actually, me finding this group in this book makes me even less inclined to get the Kabbalist books. I I had a 0.8% chance of getting the Cabal book because I've never been a fan of secret society books. If I want that, I just listen to a schizophrenic and make up my own stuff based on what they're rambling. This has turned it to like a negative 1%. I would actually manifest a copy and give it away so I don't have to think about it anymore.
that's
So,
a hell of a review there.
I mean, it's 2 pages long, and in those 2 pages, it made me 20 less times less likely to get that book. As for gargoyles, they're stupid strong. They're not very smart, and they do things. They're like machines, and they have all of these abilities, which you only understand if you play GURPS. So
And who the fuck actually pays GURPS?
Oh, by the way, they can go fuck themselves for ripping a line from the Hounds of Tintalos. Shut up and go fuck yourself.
next is the white stag, which is just the mythical white stag.
They founded the tribes of Hungary with it.
And then other hazards. Nothingness.
The current.
Oh no, you forget that there's stigmata that are signs of I like how they only gave 3 examples, one of which is they shilled in another book. That's the sign of quality right there. Yeah, I swear we covered a previous GURPS book. I think it was the Y2K one, or did that recording get eaten? I
I
swear
don't know.
like we covered the Y2K book, and I think I remember thinking most of what they sold was garbage and like conspiratorial ramblings, and they only had like 3 good campaign scenarios in it.
I mean, that sounds like GURPS, honestly.
Is that GURPS in a nutshell? A lot of garbage and a few gold points.
Yeah, like the GURPS Discworld book is apparently fantastic.
Apparently.
Apparently, like
And
I've
then what
never heard
happens
bad
is we
things
look
about it.
at it and we all find out, oh no, it's actually 80% shit. It's just that remaining 20 is so good it covers like 50% of the 80% of shit.
I wouldn't be surprised, quite honestly.
I mean, did give us Fallout, so.
No, they didn't. There was the Fallout RPG, and then there's the other Fallout thing that I remember that was a conversion.
There's GURPS
No, no, no.
Fallout, yeah.
Yeah,
No, no.
but
I believe they originally wanted to use GURPS
And then they
for
told them
the
to
first
fuck
Fallout
off,
game,
yeah.
so they made their own system then. So
good.
technically,
I know there's a homebrew Fallout one for some other game. I don't remember it too good. So yeah, there's the nothingness, which they don't really go into good details about.
Well,
of
it's
course, it's
nothingness.
nothing.
And then there's the current, which I guess is another thing. They're called Oz
And,
particles.
and there's Bane storms, which are
To another
dimensional wormholes.
dimension. I like how you can just get
They're
sucked into
rifts.
another
They're, they're,
dimension.
they're
Oh
fucking
no!
rifts.
Oh
They,
no!
they are legitimately
So wait, does
rifts.
that mean Symbiotic can sue these motherfuckers like I said originally?
No, they did the Games
No.
Workshop route of not of just changing the name.
Kevin, you know what you must do. Kevin, you know what you must do. Oh god,
Save us,
he'd
please,
lose.
Mr. Symbiota.
He'd
Symbiota,
lose. He'd lose
whatever.
just like GW did when they tried the Space Marine suit. They also
I mean,
got
I don't know,
vortices.
because Rifts is a very specific thing. So they use the
Reality
term from
quakes.
rifts.
And reality
Reality
shards.
shards and a mathematical bafflegab.
This is some pretty bad techno babble.
This is hilarious. Hold on, let me read this. Here's an excerpt from an Introduction to Ontophysics by Dr. Joseph Franke, University of Wisconsin Press, 2016, 3rd edition revised. On the topic of learned doctor's discussion is the mathematics of reality quakes, but it can apply to echoes, puzzle words, and other paraphysical phenomena with equal faculty. Or facility, actually. Would it be facility or faculty in that case?
Wait, where was this in the reality shards?
By the reality shards. So, pioneered by Margaret Steed in 2004, quantum combinatorial geometry relates directly to the parachronic upheavals which may occur when two or more realities are brought too quickly into proximity, as determined by the LG metric. Steed's equations of themselves are an invaluable basis for the calculation of intersection indexes of Leinster cobundles and hemi-projective varieties, which may not seem relevant until one appreciates that our current model of the eight-dimensional metaspace in which the known alternate worlds reside is an eight-dimensional projection of the compactification of a generally positioned smooth nine-dimensional hemiplane. And the individual vector chains in the Leinster bundles correspond to the conventions under which our parachronically stable worlds can and did develop, our own included. Intersections then would indicate locations in metaspace and time where the probability of non-birational mappings between worlds or quasi-worlds is maximized, leading to a real possibility that information in the form of history-changing events, cultures, concepts, or individuals can be destroyed or erroneously created, that is, transported from no real antecedent into this or any world.
The problem
Moving
with
on.
that is, if you understand at least half of what was said, it's all garbage.
It's all fucking garbage. Well, that's the point. It's technobabble. It was fun technobabble
it's
to
a
say,
big
though.
wall of it.
All right.
I'm sorry. It's just I had to read the Cabal. That didn't help. Fracture zones. So they're the epicenter of a reality quake. It's a few square miles or around 6 days in extent. Reality subduction zones. Get your geologic terms out of your filthy mouths, you fucking cunts. You filthy fucking cunts. Like, no. To give you an idea, that would imply that portion of the multiversal bubble oozes and bleeds into another, which is not indicated at all like that.
Okay, but before we move on really quickly, just to offend everyone possibly here, is that the two of the reality shards mentioned are the Shroud of Turin and the magic bullet that killed JFK.
So anyway, next week we're going to cover a different book. Sorry it was so short, but just as you do, like sometimes books aren't worth actually the paper it's written on. And honestly, I'd probably give this a -20 out of 10.
This has given you so much pain, hasn't it?
I fucking hate this book so much, man. I'm kidding, guys. Don't worry. We're gonna continue. I want to pour acid salt all over their alt history because their Nazi timeline was so fucking terrible. But
I'm saying let's.
also, the fact that they tried to use geologic terms such as a subduction zone, which indicates that material and ejecta are getting sucked into the reality bubble, which is not at all what's described. If anything, you would be using fault line terms such as strike fault or slip fault lines. Holy shit. If you're gonna crib from a science, actually understand that shit. Geology was like one of my actual passions, god damn it.
This book has now killed your passions and everything.
Oh no, this makes me want to makes me want to pull like that Greek philosopher and do a double backflip, both birds up, screaming I'm a god into a volcano. That is actually how a Greek philosopher died, by the way. He tried to prove his divinity by jumping into a volcano. It was glorious.
How do we know that he failed?
Oh, well, because the students saw him do it. He died.
Yeah.
That doesn't prove.
Didn't he do a flip while he was jumping in there?
Yeah, he did a backflip. He was like in his 70s too, if I remember right.
Yeah, absolutely, positively based.
So, according to during the battle against the Gibeonites at Ajalon and Canaan, the sun stood still for. Don't get your biblical references out of your filthy ass mouth. Troy, an earthquake might have caused the fall of Troy, and the Odyssey reports the Greeks used to honor the gods after their victory. The traditional Oh wow, we're offending all forms of religion, including paganism. The legendary founding of Rome takes place here and now with the customary accretion of omens and signs from the gods. A shield of Mars fell to Earth during the reign of Numa Pompilius. Was it a reality shard?
Oh
According
God,
to this
no.
book,
No.
yes.
Armageddon. At the natural choke point between Egypt and Asia, the plain of Megiddo in Israel sees battles in all eras and almost all Earths. Oh, they're saying
That's
Israel's a
because
fucking.
Megiddo was the site of one of the greatest and first battles recorded in actual history during Ramses II and the goddamn Hittites. It's like the first big battle, and it's the site of the first actual recorded peace treaty. What the fuck were you expecting? Because of that, and because of the damage that size of a fucking war did, why do you think Megiddo Plains became the symbol for Armageddon? Hundreds died!
Oh, it's also where a Jewish king was killed by an Egyptian because he wasn't paying tribute.
Yes! Yes! It's just a well-known place! God damn it! Oh. Send me straight to Olympus, nectar of the gods. Woo!
So basically, these reality quakes are an excuse to have just different settings joined together. Say, want to have a world where ancient Romans fight the Confederacy? Reality quake.
Okay, that does sound fun.
It would. It would if it wasn't in this book. It would if it wasn't in this book. You want to know why? Remember the Aztec setting in Dark Earth, which did the same fucking thing?
Yeah, the high weirdness setting where you got to do like the robber fish that would come and rob you, and
You forgot
just,
the Lost Roman Legion that made its way to Mexico.
No, you're thinking of the lost group of samurai.
The lost group of samurai who made it all the way to Mexico. Like, oh god,
There's also that one town that got shifted in time that was supposed to be at like an incident with a train, and that was actually the cover up.
Which was actually based on a book called An Island in the Sea of Time.
Yeah. All of that. Feel free. Feel happy.
So glad I managed to get more.
Do we want to just skip to the alt history?
No.
No, we gotta continue.
We gotta go through this.
Because
the rest of it is just explaining different, like, the science, quote unquote, of
the
alternative worlds.
quanticalisms. 535 AD. It's a reality quake so bad it destroyed the world line. The Holy Grail might have been a reality shard, and so is Merlin, because people can't escape the bullshit known as La Morte Alter, the most overrated play in history, besides any of the Chinese ones.
Wait. Does this mean that we can play a Fate game with GURPS?
Sorry this was so short, guys, but have an excellent...
Yes, give me my King Arthur waifus and shit like that. Come on.
only if I could play George Washington Carver as a giant peanut golem.
Unironically, that is probably what Fate will make him. Because that is what he's most remembered for, so he will become the Peanut Man.
He will be a giant peanut man, and it'll be great.
He will kill everyone by giving them peanut allergies. That will be his noble phantasm. You can't eat me.
Like, to give you an idea, my arms have been jerking a bit because I want to, like, legitimately... I'm not gonna lie. The more I see tabletop games and the more they rip from Arturian Legends, the more I want to go back in time and strangle the motherfuckers who wrote those legends.
Oh god, you know what we need to review next? A Dark Angels Codex.
The more I see them rip off this Welsh Roman warlord and try to deify this fuck, the more I want to strangle them.
Do you want to just like swap over to review Dark Eras 2? There's a King Arthur setting.
I don't have the book. No, we shat in this bed. We gotta lay in it.
Wow. Oh wait, Callets is mentioned here? Holy shit.
Yes.
What?
In Dimensional Highways. Callets of Poland is mentioned there, which is like, why the fuck is Kalas part of the ley line that apparently runs through a number of worlds? What the fuck?
That's because they were building the channel.
Was a channel that apparently only works for women and no vehicles past tech level 4.
Wait, Reality Highway. Where exactly? Oh, the Gates of Thoth. You mean?
Just above that, the Dimensional Highways. Like the Chronobahn.
I-776.
The psionic construct was built by the subconscious will of the United States just before the Great Awakening of July 4th, 2076. That's what the roadside historical marker says anyway. All the patrol knows is that it runs along the old Route 66 from Chicago to Los Angeles with almost every world line with the U.S. interstate highway system. It can only be accessed through patches of fog on a rainy highway somewhere in America, though there are certain radio frequencies that draw on an on-ramp closer to your automobile.
Moving on.
Moving on. Giant triangle gates. Okay, fuck that. Ouroboros car. Fuck that.
The subway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, fuck that. Oh, they have High Brazil. That's fun.
One Shiji-shan. Pretty sure I butchered that. Fairy. And, yeah.
Yeah, now we get to
We get to chapter 3, present at the creation. I think Adam's dead. I haven't heard from him that much. Now they're going to be talking about types of alternate worlds.
you have a random quantum table. And then a random world type. And then it tells you which kind of world it is. And if you roll a 1, it's an empty world.
Empty worlds are either ripe for resource exploitation, ripe to be a colony, or a disaster world.
I'm
Wait,
back.
there are dinosaur
What
hunts.
happened?
Well, we've moved on to the discussion of how much does a mineral cost per ton, to which bauxite is apparently only $20 per ton.
It's costless because it's infinite. Who gives a shit? It's multiversal. You destroyed the economy, you worthless cunts.
Chromium for $500 a ton. Gold for four grand a pound. Platinum for about $6 grand a pound.
Did we get through the types of alternate worlds, or are we still?
We're still
Yeah.
going through those because some of this is actually a little bit like, oh, okay.
Are we at the Ouroboros
dinosaur
car?
hunting.
We passed that.
We're past that.
President creation.
Past
And the
that.
page after that.
Types of alternate world.
Here we are.
Okay. Okay, I had no clue. I got pulled because some jackass decided to use our driveway as a fucking U-turn area.
So they do bring up dinosaur hunting. Although many homeland organizations protest the practice, there are also, well, a lot of game hunting. Including lions, elephants, aurochs, tigers, mammoths, and dinosaurs.
Most hunting worlds are class O. Oh yeah, did we go over the classes? Because there's a reason for those.
Yeah, O is open, P is protectorate, R is research, and Z is closed.
So yeah, basically open means you can do whatever. Protectorate means that you. Why do they give a shit about protected worlds?
I don't know.
Like, they don't give a shit half the fucking time anyway.
Because they want to have a pretense that they're not pieces of shit.
Or to the secret. Do they explain the secret, or is it that stupid cabal shit?
I don't know.
I thought they're just probably making sure that no one knows that book exists. Remembers
Then
that?
we get echo/parallel worlds, and they talk about these
They also
next.
talk about colonization, which, yeah.
So if you want to know about time travel in GURPS, they give you a table where you can roll a 1d6 in order to tell what the starting era of the world is, and then its increments.
Alternate Earth, identical, detailed records are not available to any record. That records are in error. This makes echoes priceless research for historical. Why are there so many echo timelines?
I don't know.
To let it echo based on historical milieu that the GM and players know well, or if they have reliable, useful resources. Use the following system to create a present between these two dates for random echoes.
And then tampering with the timeline is also possible.
Wait, why would an echo do any damage?
Because there's anchor timelines, I guess. I don't know.
That's kind of dumb.
Yeah, then there's parallel
By the way, I like how
timelines.
Centrum knows somehow, while they don't.
Yeah.
So they're oh god damn it, they're doing some pointless temporal war. You're in a multiversal or infinite possibilities exist. Nothing
Yes,
matters.
but
Nothing
you can also have a
matters.
time war.
Also, Time War Now.
Arbitrarily, because echo worlds don't do any damage. Also,
Then we got
how the fuck do echo worlds work it if it's an echo of your present time? What does that do? How does changing it cause any damage elsewhere?
better
I
question.
guess
Why does this book exist at this point now?
If you have an infinite variety of worlds, that means an infinite number of cases where nothing matters. Divergent that hits during window of instability has a chance of shifting the timeline. How and why? How?
presumably because it's an echo,
So it shifts
like a
the echo
copy,
itself around? Maybe?
Oh god.
or well, your reality would be an echo of that reality, so messing that one up would mean affecting your reality.
Anyway,
You know, there's a reason why, even though it has a lot of goddamn problems, Rick and Morty never played with time travel if they could avoid it.
I think they did it once, and that was to make a single joke.
Yeah.
So, here's how you find out if Centrum is interfering with the time. Is there transnationalism? Is there equality? Too much scientific progress? Rationality? Basically, good things.
How are these the bad guys?
I don't fucking know.
Well, I guess it's more like they're fucking things up, like,
And then they talk
like
about
say
so
too much progress. Like if you start dropping nukes in the Middle Ages.
that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, parallel worlds.
I already drank all that once. Lovely jubbly, baby.
So how parallel is it? Roll 2d6. On a 2 to 4, it's a close parallel. On a 5 to 10, it's a further. On an 11, it's a high inertia parallel. And then it's a myth parallel on a 12. So for close parallels, they only have minor differences. So basically, instead of writing, for example, Hunt for the Red October, Tom Clancy is in fact a famous romance novelist. That's about it.
That sounds really lame.
It is.
This is really lame.
And then you can roll 1d6 in order to see what
This
kind
is
of thing changed, like
this is a
popular culture, high
fucking
culture.
this is a fucking mockery of actually creating alternate timelines in history. This is insulting to me. Fucking Christ.
Then there's further parallels, which basically they vary around the technology level a lot, apparently.
Oh, also, if you're wondering, to give you an example on how you can tell these people don't know nothing about anything. We only standardized on QWERTY specifically because it was designed to slow down typing. The original typeset was actually alphabetical. What happened was it caused jams in the paper, and it also wore out those keys even quicker. QWERTY was designed to actually slow down the speed so that you were less prone to make errors, and it was also allow the typewriter to last longer. That's why we use QWERTY. It's an artifact of that time. You would know that if you know random garbage like I do. Also, home videotaping's never catching on because Sony invented DVDs. The reason DVDs became viable was because the process to make them became cheaper, which
Well, I
required
guess that
improvements in chemistry. What would have made
what
more
could have been
sense
that
is if you had
chemistry
laser
break.
discs.
Well, I mean it could have been that chemistry breakthrough came through earlier.
Or alternatively, laser discs actually succeeded over VHS because the big thing was price
Possibly.
pointing.
I mean, there's a lot of things.
Sorry, I'm just
That
like
could have gone wrong.
if you're gonna go with technological changes, you have to kind of understand, and some of the side effects and consequences would be, as a result of DVD changes, storage media would develop even quicker, so you'd actually have even larger storage drives, which would in turn affect the optimization scale. You'd get a lot more junk code because they don't give a shit. They got space, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So scaries is what they also talk about, which are like clusters
Oh
of
no, you forgot
parallels.
the political thing. Here's your nightmare. Ronald Reagan's on the nickel, motherfucker.
The Tranbury
Oh, no.
Crofts gamble forced a reshuffling the British cabinet in 1891. The horror. I don't even know what that is. Hold on. I need to look this one up. Tranby Croft scandal. Jamie, let's put this up on the monitor. Also known as the Royal Baccarat scandal, is a British gambling scandal of the late 19th century involving the Prince of Wales, the future King Edward VII.
Okay, I can see
Apparently,
that.
they gambled at a party there, and then that became the big scandal.
Well, I mean, because gambling was illegal, primarily. You would get punished via fines and possibly jail time. Because it was a similar vice tax, so to speak. It's why gambling
Yes.
was mostly illegal in the States. It wasn't
Well,
enforced hard, which is why nothing really came about it, but still.
it wasn't that. I don't think it was that. It was necessarily that the gambling was the problem. Is that Gordon Cummings? Yes, his name was Gordon Cumming. Cheated apparently, which then resulted in some weird shit happening. This is like a what the fuckery of a scandal, honestly. Like, this is the most British scandal I can imagine. A man cheated at Baccarat, and that ruined his life.
Geopolitical Malta is still a British colony. The states of Tennessee and Kentucky are called Franklin and Transylvania.
That was a proposal for him.
Yep. Earthquake leveled Aden in 1540. Scaries are clusters of parallels on the same quantum sharing elements. Others are joined at nexus portals, blah de blah. Is this Oh, okay.
This is so like, oh, I want to hop through like 5 timelines at once. Okay.
Then you got farther parallels, which change up quite a bit.
Yep. This is where we get into the fun ones. So farther parallels. Let's see. Define its present rather than selecting its divergence point, and then branch its history forward from there. So, for example, if you need to randomly create a further parallel, you have to do like other rolling, and then it's designed to give results matching alternate history literature.
So the results can range from magic to super science, and they give you rule sets for that. I will
Yeah.
grant
So
that
this
this
is
section's a little more interesting if you're world crafting, but the problem is this is multiversal nonsense. Might help if you're building
Uh,
world setting though.
yeah. They also give you like civilization table stuff where they talk about, oh my god, they actually included Mississippian civilization.
Neat.
Neat.
So this is a game that can be used to actually create the setting for the Finnish-Korean Hyper War.
Yes, it can.
You could. Oh shit, they have Minoans as well.
Yep, they include the Minoans. They even give a basic rundown of every civilization they mention.
I like how
Including the
Orthodox
Bactrian.
is one of them, and they don't clarify what that means.
No, they do.
They
They
do.
do. It's Greek Orthodox.
Ah, okay.
Byzantines, although yeah, it's Byzantines because they just don't use that term.
Okay.
They also point the beginning of Western civilization as 550 AD.
I mean, that's around when.
I would say that's a terrible decision.
Yeah, like that's a pretty bad
That's after
decision.
the
But
fall of Rome.
well,
This
I
is
mean, the fall of Rome is what caused modern Western civilization.
well,
It's kind of like one
this
of
is
those things, but
7 years
still.
after Odoacer's kingdom was overthrown.
But yeah, exactly. Like that's a little too early. I would argue that the real start of it is when Charlemagne takes over most of Western Europe.
Your either selection, the either selections I'd go for the start of Western Civ would probably be during Pax Romana or Charlemagne. Charlemagne, if you really want to codify Europe as a polity, though.
Yeah, because he's kind of the one that did it again, as its kind of own thing.
And then they explain all of the varieties of the cultures, which is nice. You may not necessarily know. I think calling it Orthodox was probably stupid, personally. I mean, I know you can't
Also,
use Byzantine because that's incorrect, but why wouldn't you?
they do also later give various names of great powers of certain cultures.
They also call it Civilization Unity Table and Great Powers. This is like if you're
It,
really going to craft your own world, which is kind of neat if you're doing your own homebrew setting, but I'd also say there's kind of no point. They're political structures. You roll 3d6, and I like how one of the results is literally anarchy.
Why not?
There's also Athenian democracy for some reason.
I guess the most stable and rational of all of all governments.
Actually, I'm looking. I'm not a fan of the structures that they came up with.
though I want the hyper advanced Malay anarchic state.
I mean,
Sure, fine.
if we're doing a fun shit post, a really cool one, and by cool one I think it's hilarious, is okay. You go with let's as a shit post go with an Iranic people. So you got the Persians, right? So let's go with the Persian the Persian corporate state, where Darius the Great is actually the CEO and board.
Why not? Oh, this also gets into the next section where they then talk about examples of the political structures, and then they get into high inertial parallels,
They
which are
also
weird.
yeah, they go with Western tables, challenge worlds.
Such as the United States of Lizardia.
States of Lizardia.
Georgian England CSA, the Italian cities, banana republics.
Oh wow.
Any
Then they
world's
give
a
some.
challenge world. There's hell worlds.
They give mysterious civilizations, uh, which would be East African. Um,
Gothic. Well, I mean, I guess the Gothic peoples are kind of a weird outlier.
Not really.
I mean, they sort of disappear. They hit the world stage and they disappear pretty fast.
Yeah, but
then, then they do give weird civilizations: Atlantean, megalithic, and Siren.
these aliens ruled earthly civilizations as gods, building great structures, and eh. The Olmec's a pretty good example of a mysterious civilization. Punic, bullshit. Punic's bullshit. That's more due to ignorance than anything else.
I mean, Tibetan and Shivan are a little bit weirder, but
That's also, yeah,
And
both of
then
them are also pretty bullshit.
They're kind of weirder on the mysterious scale. They're more like, oh, this is just a little bit of an outlier.
They're not even
then the
outliers. This is just genuinely stupid.
then the next section is about basically
Fuck.
describing how to do alt history.
Also, the
Ah,
examples of
yes, you can
hell
do
worlds are
Stargate.
diseases,
They
cosmic
they
catastrophe, odd disasters.
they bring up the Draka novels.
Oh, my least
Oh
favorite. Not
no.
fuck that book. They only got as far as they did because whenever they needed him to win, they made the opposing side just intentionally to eat their stupid pills.
For those
Fuck
who
that
don't know,
book.
that is where what is it? Former uh,
Ba-
former
basically,
American
Nobody cares.
royalists.
no. And let me
Let's-
sum it up real quick. American Revolution was a big fat brap. The slave owners went south into South Africa. They formed a little state colony there, and it becomes some Confederate neo-Nazi fucking garbage empire state that ruled the world because everyone was too retarded to just beat them down because the plot needed them to get strong. It's a garbage book series. It genuinely is shit. But people keep mentioning it because it's one of the first books that seriously played around with alt history. It's the same as Harry Turtledove, who made the infamous Timeline 191, where the Confederates won the Civil War because Antietam's battle plans were not leaked. It
That
Didn't
one's
he
culminates,
a
also?
better.
if you're wondering, it culminates in a southern version of Adolf Hitler under the name of Featherstone fighting the
Also
U.S.
nukes. Lots of nukes.
Yeah,
It's a fun series.
it's better. It's better than the Draka. I'll give it that.
It doesn't take itself like the initial nature of it is like, oh, okay, we're just doing a weird World War II. That's fine. It's not like it's trying to do some giant strange thing. They also go into like the weirdness of the politics of like post-war Germany with the equivalent of like,
There's also
the
the
Confederacy.
hilarious Guns of the South book, where a bunch
Guns of
of
the South is
where a
Guns of the
bunch
South
of
is so stupid.
former like South African fascists and Robert E. Lee
The AK-47.
AK-47s.
Yeah, that one's a fun book. That like it's so stupid it becomes fun.
And even though they treated their slaves like crap, Lee was like, "These guys are garbage even by our standards."
He's like, holy fuck, these guys really suck. It's just,
So they used
which
their
is like,
AKs to shoot them the next time they come back. Because what happened was they found out that they were going to do a slow emancipation plan anyway due to advances in technology making slavery less worth it anyway.
less viable. Yeah,
Also social pressure.
yeah.
So they were like, wait, what? You were doing? And then they just shoot him. They just shoot him with AK-47s. Uh, So there's the little point, for example, in carefully designing an alternate history in which Napoleon wins at Waterloo and immediately cuts to pieces at Mechelin 2 weeks later in a regrouped Allied force. If you're beginning with Napoleon, you're presumably interested in history in which Bonapartism lasts longer. Well, no shit.
Well, yeah, because that's kind of one of the things where it's like, it's an interesting. One of the interesting things is, what if Napoleon actually accepted that one Council of Europe thing, like the surrender that kept him in
The other
charge
one
of
is, what if he
large.
stopped backstabbing his allies?
That was never going to happen. But
Yeah.
the one where he decided that, you know what, I have in fact been defeated, but France is still mine and it's still very large.
hmm
That one's kind of interesting.
Another one could be he dies before he invades Russia.
Or dies during the invasion of Russia.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. They just go into details on how you could set things up. Like, they also mentioned the concept of Vikings staying around in Vinland, which, yeah, that's a hypothetical. It's an interesting one. It's a little bit not horribly implausible. It's just it's really far on their supply lines, but still.
Yeah.
Destiny backwards, and when using a change forward model, it can help to have a goal to which you want the history to evolve. Vision. For example, Irish dominance of England, Egypt, the most technologically advanced nation, may even involve assuring the beneficiary survive and profit, aka shitty writing.
Shitty writing. Yeah.
Here's where you be a shitty writer and just give them the stuff they need as everyone drops idiot balls. Although hypothetically, you could have an interesting case where Ireland dominates the United Isles just by having them unify quicker. Which hilariously, I don't think would have to. I don't think the native Irish. I think you'd have to have like the Vikings unify it as Ireland. So you could have Gaelo-Norse Ireland. Do you like this Gaelo-Norse Ireland?
I mean, why not?
Oh god, that language would be so cursed.
Make the Welsh
You might want to
pronounceable.
marginalize the strong. We call this screwing. We call this faction screwing. If you make it better, it's a wank. This is a screw job. So examples include just having Genghis Khan die of like diarrhea or something early on. Other ones include replacing Christianity. One they bring up that's kind of interesting is playing around with Buddhism. Like if Buddhism went west. That could have been fun.
Ooh.
Islamic Roman Empire becomes the new caliphate. Now that could be fun. Like the Eastern Roman Empire converts. That could be fun. Byzantine Empire goes Islamic.
That's a fun one.
That could be real fun.
Some weird Islamo-Christian hybrid.
Oh, it gets even
That
more
would be
cursed
really
if you have
weird.
the Armenian dynasty take over. So you have an Armeno-Hellenic Islamic state.
A Judeo-Hellenic Islamic Christo state.
Which speaks a
Wouldn't that
variant
just
of
be an
Armenian.
Abrahamic state?
Which speaks Armenian. Yes, why not? Fuck
That
it.
sounds fun.
That sounds genuinely weird and something that historically is possible.
The
Because
Armenian
fucking
global
weird
empire.
like that.
Another really funny one would actually be. Oh God. Let me think of another really fun one. Ooh, I got a really fun one. How about a Spain that? How about a Spain which still has a German-speaking portion of the population? Because the Visigoths condensed in the north, so you have German-speaking North Spain and a Creole Southern language that has a lot of Arabic loanwords.
Ooh.
So you have a very weird German-speaking Spain.
That's up there.
Sorry,
I mean,
this is the type of shit I love to talk about. Like, I love playing around with alt history shit. This is the part of the book where it and I actually are starting to get together. This is when the toothpaste wears off and the orange juice stops tasting awful.
like some of this stuff is like, if you want to do parallel world weird timeline stuff, this is what you do.
So what makes history diverge? And they come up with it. They mention great men. There's also
Great
the great
men theory,
moment and the great
great moment
motherland theory.
The great motherland theory is kind of a stupid one,
That
honestly.
one's garbage, but it gives you ideas. And they also mentioned there's different plagues that you can play around with. Like one of them is just don't have the plague of Sennacherib actually kick in. That's kind of what saved Jerusalem.
They have alternate great men. They also then go into plagues, and they talk about politics as possible development, generational cycles.
That's another one.
On page 101, I love this picture that they got there, which is this book until this point.
No, that's actually pretty accurate. That's real fucking accurate.
Someone's
Who what now? Someone's what?
I was about to say, like, there's also a fun quote here, which is there are no correct alternate histories. There are only plausible alternate histories.
Yeah. Imperial Japan that actually did something at any point that wasn't atrocities against China and Korea. That's not happening.
Not happening. Not without like basically a reform to more of a republican system way before that happened historically.
I'm trying to think of like what's one of the weirdest. You know, this could be an interesting one. One of the southern dynasties of China actually unifies China. Traditionally, that never happens. It's usually northern Chinese.
Yeah, the
states
northern
that,
dynasties are usually the ones that unify
I
it.
think there might have been one case where the South pulled it off, but that was more due to like convenient marriages and a fracturing. It's a lot rarer. Just it's something involving the geography. Also, I think it has to deal. It's also because they deal constantly with nomads, so they're a little more prepped to fight. Ooh, a fun one could actually be that. A fun one could be that Iranic-speaking peoples actually settle in the Balkans instead of the Slavs. So instead of the nightmare that is Servia, you have a nightmare version of it that speaks a dialects related to Persian. Come on, don't you want Afghanistan to move to the Balkans? I think it would feel right at home.
Unironically, yes. I think that would be great for the entirety of humanity.
Replace the Balkans with Afghanistan.
It would be a net boon to society.
Ah, man. See, if the book was more like this would be fun. Also, Civilizations is biology,
where they
which
talk
is
about
kind
like
of garbage. This one's kind
it
of
is.
bullshit. Yeah, this is, and then there's the final stasis, which yeah, all this is poo.
They also talk about like various times, like the medieval warm period, the Little Ice Age, the timeline shifting stuff too. Like how do you do timeline shifts? How would you do that?
And what would you
Social
change?
cafeteria, and then we get finally to page 107 where we get into more of like the.
Well, no, there's also ecologies which could be fun. You could actually have weather systems. You know.
Why don't we have the fucking weird mammoth riders in North America? Why the fuck not? Let's do that.
Well, no, I'm thinking
The American natives tamed the fucking mammoth. Why not?
I was
Fucking
thinking something
happen.
else actually. One of the there used to be a dude who did a bunch of alternate worlds, and one of them was really simple. What if the Earth's
What?
axis was tilted upside down?
Ooh.
Because of that, it would alter the seasonal cycles. Like basically, the Earth was upside down relative to its cosmic plane.
This sounds really stupid now that you said it like that.
But because of that, but the rotation doesn't alter with it, so it still rotates the same way, which causes the currents to be different, which causes the weather patterns to be different. So you'd get different results. So, and also since it's upside down, Florida is much more like the Baja state. So a lot more
Okay.
arid and dry, and the East Coast is as well, while the West Coast is even rainier.
Oh,
Okay. Now I see what you're getting at. But wouldn't the thing to do then would be just like, well, we're just gonna have it rotate in a different direction? Because wouldn't that have the same damn result?
It's because of the wind. It's because of wind patterns. Because of the rotation being the same as if it was right side up. They kept the wind patterns the same
Ah.
because of its rotation. Mammoths never went extinct. Everything's the same except cattle are mammoth.
Why not? Why not?
I-
I want to see that alternate history where there's like
No,
the
there's
fucking
there's two
Europeans
things that
come over
change.
and
There's two things that
giant
change.
mammoth
There's the
riders.
mammoth, but then there's the camels.
Either that or
no,
the
and
camels.
No, it's
I
both.
want to.
It's both because you see the mammoths and they're like smaller now, and they're like twice the size of oxen. Like,
Like the dwarf
although that
mammoths taking over North America sounds like a fucking cursed timeline, but I love it.
I'm just envisioning these
I
native tribes tending to them in big paddocks,
Tending big cow mammoths,
riding on
which
their
is just
majestic camels, which are making noises.
I want Incans riding the giant South American sloths.
Oh no,
yes.
they just keep them as pets. Like they breed them to be
But-
gigantic, lazy house cats almost.
Send in the mega sloths.
And it just slowly stoops in and flops over because it's a giant house cat.
Yes. Now the rest of this stuff is more like, how do you actually get this change to work? How would you do this? How would you change your timeline stuff? Which who cares?
Who
Quite
gives a
frankly,
shit? Who gives a shit?
why would you want
Let's-
to? That's half the point of this book is that you get to explore this. Why would you want to make it more like our reality?
Let's go to the let's move on, go to the alternate worlds.
Alternate world stuff.
Hey. Like Armada 2. So in this timeline, the Spanish Armada is not sunk by a big fucking storm. and then broken apart by the English Navy.
Yeah, so they land on England, depose the throne of England. They managed to put down the Dutch revolt somehow,
I don't know how
and
they would be
depose the
able
King of
to.
France.
So, once cowed by Spanish guns, stealthily equipped privateers, Egypt and Huguenot New France. So, when Philip II died in Spain, he ruled a Catholic empire in which the sun never set. So, the Netherlands were unified. I don't know how.
Well, they were as the United Provinces.
Well, no, it's
But-
like, but do you? Okay, here's my problem with this. Yes, if Philip II dies, this is more likely to occur. But the problem is, there's no way in hell the Duke of Parma would actually be able to manage the United Province. Because here's what would
Yeah.
happen. Philip II would come in and fucking start micromanaging and ruining shit, and then shoving someone else to help watch over him to make sure that he follows his orders. Philip II was notorious for micromanaging everything. He could not handle people doing things on their own. He would interfere whenever he could. That's actually why he lost Netherlands. He wouldn't leave them alone. They got tired of it. It also didn't help when he sent because he sent the Spanish Inquisition. Well, no, he didn't actually send the Spanish Inquisition. He sent, I think it was the Belgian equivalent, which was even worse. Or was it the French that were worse?
It was
People
the
overblow
Belgians. No one expects the Belgian
Oh
Inquisition.
no, because the Spanish Inquisition is not as bad as I think. It was either the French or the Belgian version, which was worse.
It was the Belgians. If you have to understand, like, if you want to choose what is the worst, it's probably the Belgian. Except for guns. Belgian guns are pretty good.
But there is no reason for the Duke of Parma to be able to keep a lid on things.
Yeah.
Also, tax relief for the Catholic merchants, that would just cause the Dutch to rebel even harder. That wouldn't do anything.
I do love the other two world lines that they mention as possible, though. On the low mana TL4 world of Armada 3, the English and Dutch rebellions erupted upon Philip II's death in 1598. Spanish broadsheets claim that this is an invisible college of sorcerers, witches, and Rosicrucians behind the rebellion.
Okay.
That sounds great.
That's a little
I
want
to play that timeline.
During the next
fuck all the other ones.
Okay, so what else do they got? Gold and silver
Well,
from Mexico and Peru flooded into Madrid, buying the allegiance of princes and dukes in Italy and Germany, which is what they did historically, but it also bankrupted them regularly because it destroyed their currency. That's the problem.
Yep.
Turmoil in the blah blah
Swedes,
blah sparked a Protestant rebellion in England, farseeing policies of how managed to stem the tide with financial reform, centralization, and Canadian safety valves, which allowed them to
the Swedes unite, and they found South Africa.
They actually were able to kick the Turks out of Morocco and Algeria, which, good luck, pal. They've tried that repeatedly. It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Managed to unify Scandinavia and the few Luther. One of the things they're kind of ignoring is that other nations tended to avoid them getting too powerful. To give you an idea, during the 16th century, the running game was prevent France from getting too strong, and then the Habsburgs from getting too strong. Basically, whoever was the strongest, they tried to kick down. It's the crab pot period of Europe. They tried to avoid that.
The next world up is Attila, where
Uh,
the Khans rule the world.
yeah, the Armada timeline it's an interesting one. The problem is they don't really play with it like they should.
You can make
And
a pretty good alternate history book.
It's a good alternate history, but you need to really keep in mind the characters in play. Yeah, if you have Philip II die, things get a lot easier. It's just at this point the genie's out of the bottle.
Attila is, by the way, the timeline is 2004.
All right.
Genghis levels Beijing in 1215, and Mongols continue to destroy cities as policy, meaning the only civilizations still around are the Japanese, the West Africans, and the Andeans.
Wow, I hate
It's
this one.
the Shogunate, the Great Congo League, and the Itupi.
So, how on earth did the Horde not splinter apart like it historically did?
Um,
And also,
Who
how did
fucking
they not
knows?
experience a mass die-off? Because one of the things that allowed them to get their population was to actually adopt some of the sedentary measures.
Subutai leveled Venice, Cologne, Paris. Manchu
Motherfucker
crushed
couldn't even
Alexandria.
invade Germany.
Kublai destroys Canton.
Motherfucker
And
couldn't even invade Germany with the power of the
and
Chinese at his back.
as well as London and Mecca.
How they get to London?
How the How'd they get to Mecca? That's like 100 miles in land and desert, like hard desert too. Like I'm not kidding. Mecca's actually one of the reasons Mecca has only been sacked like twice ever since the Muslims appeared was because it's actually in a pretty safe spot. It's hard to get to. What a load of dog shit. They also adopted non-Mongols such as the Turks and Hungary. No, like legitimately.
The Hungarians have returned.
The Oyo created steam engines. So the Bantu urbanized and I guess unified.
Japan has unified itself under the Tokugawa as historical and rates the Chinese barbarians for slaves. And with the increasingly urbanized tribes from Puget Sound to Peru, even though the Pacific Ocean's actually an order of magnitude more of a bitch to traverse with the technology on hand.
Yeah. The next one's fun though.
In Tipu,
Azoth.
the theocracy that succeeded the Incas and the okay. I mean, I can understand Toa and Tensui experiencing a collapse. I just wanted to know why.
Oh, hold on, before we go, other Mongol conquests. Let's see. In San Tomas, European refugees from the Mongols fled to the Crusader states, and let's see, the Crusades survived Florence, seizing Egypt, sacking Mecca. Crusader Egypt dominates the Indian Ocean as England reconquers Europe from the White Horde.
Oh, so here's my counter rebuttal. One of the reasons nomads can get their shit kicked in depending on the region. You just have to know how to fight them, and by this point, especially if you have technology advancing, oh, you can murder them so casually. There's a reason why the
On
Russians were so successful. See, here's the thing.
ho-
I don't care about your tactics. I have many gun,
Mind you, it took them to getting the guns before they could really even subdue
which
Central
is why
Asia.
they made lighter cannons and quick fortresses.
hold on. On Com, Mongols not only ravaged Europe but successfully captured Japan and, following Japanese fishing routes, discovered America in 1290. They conquered the Toltec and the Incas, while some European
How?
refugees settled in Vinland. Black Death wipes out 80% of the population but leaves the Americas alone. A Mongol Chinese
Chinese
Suan
European
European hybrid
hybrid
states
states.
rule from the Great Plains, and the cities along the Mississippi are developing steamboats.
Okay, can we send this? Can we send this to the Coyote and Crow devs, because I want this. I want them to try to do this.
Yeah, you have a problem. It includes 3 cultures that they don't like.
How did
True.
they successfully capture the more advanced Japan, by the way?
I don't fucking know. It's they managed to capture Japan in, I would assume, whenever Kublai tried to invade. So and then there's Tengri, which is kind of an interesting one.
The World Khanate.
Oh,
The world Khanate exists.
These are different versions. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
I love
Okay.
the Tengri Khanate though. Like this sounds amazingly crazy.
Okay, that one's actually okay.
Then there's Azoth 7, which is magic exists. It's 1780.
Alchemical revolutions, actually.
Yeah.
So
Alchemically powered Britain, Venice, Prussia, and Spain compete to harness angels and mine magical gemstones from the far reaches of the zodiac.
You know, this one I
why
like a
not?
lot more than the one we just read.
And then there's other Azoths as well, but this is one of the most extensive pocket multiverses that has ever been stumbled across.
They've also I like how angels are mercenaries, by the way.
Yeah.
I also like how Venice took Africa and Turkey. And Prussia took over China and Russia.
Yeah. So take a look at the
The
other
Chinese,
Azoths though.
Prussian,
They're pretty fun.
what was it? The Russian Han Prussian army.
And
I love Azoth
they
1.
just mine heaven for gemstones.
I know, it's fucking great. But I love Azoth 1 under
Walt,
the
yeah.
The Azothic
Yeah.
flyer.
yes.
And Sir Walter Raleigh becomes the first man to
The
land
first
on
man
Venus
on
in
Venus in 1617.
These are cool. I like these.
Nicholas Flamel discovers the red elixir in 1382. The British and English use it. The British and French use it to destroy each other in the last stages of the Hundred Years' War. And the Italian cities Aragon and Norway and Burgundy now compete for colonies in the Americas.
Total Anglo-French death, as it
Yeah.
should be.
my EU4 run.
50-foot under armored clockworks to devastate Germany in the 30 Years' War. Okay, I want a like war game setting now, set in this alternate timeline of like pike and shot and
unironically,
giant fucking robots.
Do they act? They should totally do. They should have totally done. GURPS should have totally done an Aethozoth setting.
That would be
They
great.
might have.
Because this is easily the best thing they've made so far. It mainly because what they do is they don't give a shit. They're just playing around, you know.
Yeah. In any case, they go for Bonaparte 4,
Well,
which
no,
is
Azoth 4 is pretty cool because they discover true Cinnabar, and has ruled in splendid isolation since.
the rest of the world remains essentially unaffected.
They just found immortality and are just chilling.
Yeah.
The Arabs and Byzantines systematized the universal solvent alkalest, which releases elemental fire from naphtha in the late 7th century, leading to an alchemical arms race. Oh, there's also the Hell parallel world. This is the aftermath of an alchemical war or have gone horribly wrong. This is cool.
Yeah,
This
some of
section's
these are
good.
actually like really good.
Yeah. Then it's Bonaparte 4, which is made as let's see. So instead of going
like
for
this one.
Egypt, he goes for Ireland.
In this world, he
Doesn't make
sacrificed
zero
romance for
sense.
results, slipping out the Breton ports in a fog. And taking his veterans to Ireland, which actually, this one's genuinely a strategy he did plan. He actually
Yeah.
asked for the directorate to send, it wasn't 40,000, he was thinking 4,000 to arm the Irish rebels. And kind of bolster their, because there was an Irish independence movement even at this point, and they actually caused many troubles.
Would they be the real IRA?
I think they actually were, they were a mixture between Jacobites at this point, like legitimately they were Stuart pretenders. And yes, some of them were advocates for a republic. It was, I think, mostly Jacobites, though.
So, because the Hibernian Republic now exists, Britain's strategic position was untenable. Therefore, the American President Burr invades and annexes Canada.
Good fucking luck, pal. We struggled to do that in 1812.
Yeah, polishing off Austria, Prussia, and Russia at Austerlitz. And Friedland, Bonaparte was master of Europe by 1807.
I mean, that basically happened. They just restitched together. I guess because the British lost their ability to not do a block. Honestly, what would have made more sense is if they actually spanked the British at Trafalgar and basically wiped several of their more experienced admirals there.
I mean, Nelson died in Trafalgar anyway, but like the French didn't have a fleet left.
Like, you'd have to keep it intact as well as the Irish revolt. That might actually force them to the table. That might actually force it, especially if you can stage limited landings.
Yeah. So we get to I like this bit.
This one's not the most plausible, but I like the direction it's going.
3 more border wars over Louisiana. Eventually, Japan defeats Russia in 1905, causing a democratic revolution there. French attempts to destabilize the nascent Russian Republic led to the Great War with Russia, Japan, Brazil, and the United States in 1937. The armistice in Stockholm ended after both sides invented atomic weapons.
I guess Brazil is still an empire in this setting.
Yeah. The French Empire has become a globe-spanning banner republic with a secret police. And because they're trying to keep the oil flowing from their Ottoman allies, but not to, they're unable to stop the endless rebellions in Latin America, Africa, and India, covertly supported by the.
I also like how it's coming close to falling apart at the seams.
It's basically a cyberpunk empire.
That's not bad.
Oh, but look at the alternate.
A little faulty
Bonaparte.
because I think they would have lost at least parts of the New World eventually, just because it's just too much of a pain to hold on to.
The other ones are pretty fun too.
But it's mostly plausible.
So Bonaparte won. Trafalgar ends in a Franco-Spanish victory. France France loses the War of 1812 trying to retake Louisiana from America. And
That one actually sounds reasonably-ish fair. The problem is the U.S. would be too busy basically dying in Mexico.
oh no, we annexed Mexico by
That's not
1853.
happening. We would basically get into a death war with them.
Yeah.
We'd have to at
Dominant
least. We'd
powers
have
are
to.
growing
We
upset.
might be able to hold on to places like Sonora and Chihuahua, but like, once you get out of the northern states, there's no fucking way we could hold on to them.
Bonaparte 5. Napoleon and Wellington are killed in battle in
Metternich negotiated
1809.
peace that leaves the
Austria falls to
Habsburg
communists
in
in
1919 after
I
defeating
like
Russia
that.
and Prussia. That actually makes some sense.
Yeah. No, Napoleon V is rallying the West to destroy the new revolution.
That sounds fun.
Oh, and then Bonaparte VI, Corsican revolutionary Pollio dies in 1759, allowing Napoleon to be born Genoese.
Which actually
Which-
almost happened.
Which makes
Napole-
Napoleon unifies Italy during the Revolutionary era
That's
into
cool.
the Roman Republic, conquers Egypt and Greece, allies with Britain and the United States in the War of 1914 against Germany, Turkey, and Austria, and I'm assuming also France in there somewhere. The Fermi's atomic bomb and Carpini's jets make Rome the first superpower in the 1940s.
I like this.
So
There's
That's
some
a fun one.
There's some creativity.
Caesar, Napoleon.
Yeah.
Well, no. Like, to give you an idea, he was actually of Italian stock. It's just the transfer to France happened a year before he was born. So, unironically, he could have taken over. In this case, he might have been able to take over Genoa. And then what would have likely happened is he would have made his way up during a Carbonieri revolt and essentially unifying at least parts of Italy. The problem is that France would be concerned, although if you had France fall apart in a revolution itself,
Well, that's the
they
thing.
might have backed
This
him.
is while France is in a revolution at the moment. That's why this was
Yeah,
even
and
possible.
it would make sense. They would back him. He would probably outperform the French general there and basically run the Italian campaign on an even more shoestring budget.
And
Dude,
then the
that's fun.
Austrians, yeah, that's a fun
Bonaparte
one.
6 is great. That's my favorite one out of these.
Britannica 3 is a fun one, too. In the home timeline, the Protestant Duke James of Monmouth rebelled against the increasingly autocratic and dangerously pro-Catholic King James II.
The Duke of Monmouth, by the way, was a very vainglorious asshole who basically felt it was his duty to revolt. So this was always
also
going to
he
happen.
claimed he was the bastard son of Charles II, which,
Iffy, but actually somewhat plausible. It's iffy, but like there's no confirming, but like, you know.
The next one though is so he managed to succeed. Basically in the timeline, our timeline, he failed. In this timeline, he succeeded.
Mhm.
And basically, when the smoke cleared, the bastard Duke had become James III of England, and the gentry had learned a solitary lesson about royal power. His instincts at least were sound. Colonies, good. Radicalism, bad. And it's a good idea to keep them away from one another.
Oh, what he does is he makes an American parliament. He basically came up with
Yes.
home rule early.
Yes.
That would actually
Benjamin Franklin
help.
That would probably have actually prevented an American Revolution, which is really more of a civil war, honestly. Which then results in Sir Benjamin Franklin and Sir George Washington.
Yeah.
Later, the Duke of Washington.
I like that.
Becomes
Governor
the first
General
Governor General of North America.
This
is
my favorite one.
Example to fuse the abolition crisis in 1794.
Because the British would force it. Fuck the South. They would.
Yeah. General Sir Robert Lee pioneers the integration of colonial units into the British Army after his astonishing tactical successes in Crimea.
He's actually not that tactically great, but he probably had Stonewall Jackson and Longstreet on his side, so that's why
that would be the
win.
weirdest fucking timeline. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Wait, later. There's a war in Alaska between
the
Russia
Russians
and Alaska.
Yeah, there's no way Russia would ever sell Alaska if it was because literally they were willing to sell to everyone but the United Kingdom.
The last 40 years has seen German and Russian-backed agitation in
Ireland, Argentina, and the Kwantung, and the anti-Italian Gaullist military coup in France, but no real change in the balance of power. A burgeoning space race, social turmoil, religious ferment, and a blossoming sexual license dominate the newspapers and telescreens. The North American and Indian dominions lead the world in all three, as well as a new industry and invention under the wisely minimal direction of His Majesty's Imperial Government in London.
This one's really good.
This is a silly one, but it's a fun
it's
silly one.
It's a silly one, but no, like to give you an idea, it actually it's somewhat plausible and everything too, and I like it. They don't give you a lot to play with, but like the little points they mention. This was one of the more plausible ones.
I'm looking.
The patrol's
I'm
job
looking-
is not made any easier by the immense popularity of Britannica 3 with Anglophile tourists.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised.
That's amazing.
I'm looking at the alternate ones. Britannica 7. Boudica threw off Roman rule in 680 and establishes a
So it's a
matriarchal
tribal union.
Well,
Brytia.
the problem is that one wouldn't work because Boudica actually pissed off most of the other tribes near her because of her
Yeah.
actions. Basically, yes, she won the acclaim of her tribe and like the alliance of another, but like 4 more basically hated her and legitimately served alongside the Romans to beat the shit out of her.
Hold on. An Irish cultural technological upsurge in the 6th to the 8th centuries extended its influence across Europe. It's currently fighting and holy wars and having intellectual exchange with the Saracen Caliphate in Rome.
Mildly interesting. I think this one's I wouldn't probably put this one as Britannica 7 though. Personally, it's a little too different. Personally, I wouldn't grant it as Britannica's.
Britannica 6 has these giant engineering projects such as the Channel Bridge, the
Oh,
Ice
well,
Dreadnought,
no
and the
wonder Charlotte
Electric
didn't
Repair.
die. You know what this means? Leopold never becomes king of Belgium.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God.
He becomes the no, it's worse. He becomes the king consort of the United Kingdom
Oh no.
Oh no.
because Charlotte was heir.
Oh no, he's turning India into
Well, his
Yeah.
son is.
I
a
do
free
like
state of India.
There's a reason it's called the Electrical Terror. That one's pretty fun
Oh
too.
no.
The American colonies splintered after independence to become a zone of proxy wars between the European powers of Britannica 1. Undistracted and eventually economically predominant in America, the British defeated Napoleon, Russia, Germany twice, and the Soviet Union. The Bolshevist War ended with TL-7, Britain holding a near complete monopoly on space travel and a new Pax Britannica unfolding before it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but Lindy Beige, please go. The
Go
next one
away,
is Caliph.
So
Next one is,
Caliph. Yep.
Caliph,
It's behind. It's
which
behind.
is
Basically, the printing press instead is invented in 8th century Baghdad.
Which is silly
figure
because
out
it was invented multiple times around the same period in Asia.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing that in this case they figured out movable typeset.
I'm
Again.
liking the it's a global Islamic civilization, but you have great powers. Jamahira, Hind, the Zagwi Associates, an orbital corporate state,
Persia,
Persia,
Andalus,
Andal-
Bulgaria, and Sofala. That's interesting. This is like a cyberpunk world.
Well, if you're wondering
Islamic
why
cyberpunk world.
well, if you're wondering why it's because I also noticed it's very fitting that the anarchic theocracy is called Ummah, which, if you're wondering, is the
Yeah,
term for
hold-
the people's body, the society of the Islamic world, the people, so to
Zagwi,
speak.
hold on. Zagwi's Associates, this world line's dominant space corporation, and the only known constructor of Jinn, responsible for severing its ties to Earth and declaring itself an independent caliphate.
They're
In a
trying
bigger picture,
to
sorry.
start it. What is this?
I also like how AIs are called
This
Jinni.
is hardwired. This is the good hardwired island.
Hey, yeah, look, it did the thing. It did the thing. It remembered there's different parts of the world.
This is so weird, but it's fun. The other Muslim worlds they go to are the Jihad 1 timeline, where the Arabs defeated the Franks at Tours, and Muslim Faranajistan is still stagnating with the rest of the world.
Which is a bit wrong, in my opinion, but fair enough.
Tours is
There's
more of a
several-
raid than anything else.
Yeah.
Ottoman
Several
1 is the Turks took Vienna in 1529 and marched to Rome on the Rhine. Anglo-Spanish alliance is gingerly pressing back in the fragmented Tafia states of France and Germany. The Turkish Empire in Ottoman 2 extends over a huge part of Asia, Russia, and India as the Ottomans turned east to swallow Tamerlane's empire. The Europeans neglected are moving into TL5, however.
The problem with that is the Ottomans were kind of at the edge of their infrastructure rope at both versions anyway, so.
I mean, they just went in a different direction, basically. in that one. Ottoman 3 also diverges with Tamerlane, who conquered China in the 1390s and
He actually
forcibly
was
converted
going
it
for
to
them
Islam.
too. If
He was.
he didn't die, he would have actually tried.
Yeah, Tamerlane occupied in the east. The Ottomans took Constantinople in 1405 and swallowed Europe into the Elbe. Both TL4 Muslim empires, the remainder of Muscovy, Iraq, with revolts and famine from Germany to Manchuria in 1640.
There's a point where you get to logistical endpoints where I don't think they can quite pull it off to the degree that they're hoping, though.
Yeah. In Ottoman 4, Mehmet the Conqueror survived long enough to complete his invasion of Italy in 1481, aborting the Renaissance. The TL6 Ottomans control the Mediterranean and the Caribbean both and are racing the Mughals to African colonies.
The problem with
Other
that
one,
one is it requires the Mughal Empire to actually be stable, which it lost the chance
good
to
luck.
because of
Yeah.
Jahangir. Also, at this point, the Renaissance would actually just move up north. It would just move up to the Flemish provinces, North Germany, England, northern France, Ireland.
This one's an interesting one, Andalus, in which the Muslims of Spain threw back the Reconquista and went on to discover America in 1484, achieving a TL6 in rivalry with Japan, Saxony, and Russia.
Oh, that one's actually relatively plausible. You would just have to prevent the splitting apart of the Emirate of Cordoba.
Yeah. Ismailia as well, in which the Safavids defeated the Ottomans in 1512 and built a millenarian Shiite empire stretching from India to Algiers.
The problem is Ismail probably wouldn't have been able to pull that off just because, again, the Safavids were nowhere near as strong as as what was thought to be. Like, they just weren't. By this point, the Iranian plateau is at its kind of nadir because its trade routes kind of went up north, and all of its money was getting sucked into India and in China.
So this other one though is actually very good, which is the
It's a cool
Khedive, which is
idea, though.
basically both are cool. I think this one's actually the most cool of the ideas, which is that Muhammad Ali's modernization program of Egypt achieved industrial takeoff in the 1860s, allowing Egypt to absorb most of northern Africa and the Middle East before the Europeans could get their hands on it.
Which is actually quite plausible. The thing that really fucked him was actually his pissing match with the Ottomans, because they would always
Yes.
back them over him.
Yes, which also means that with the Ottomans out of the picture, they're now one of the big powers on the world stage and holding the balance of power between Britain, Germany, and Russia.
So to give you an idea, Muhammad Ali, he also lost his favorite heir, I believe, to a sickness. So just prevent that from happening. Have him actually accept the Syrian results in exchange for guaranteed rights over the Hejaz, which the Ottomans would never do. So you'd have a Syrian war at the very least. And I could see it, especially if Egypt continues to do relatively well, which the French were hoping for because they were actually wanting to get a canal right. So with that, yeah, that one's my favorite just because it's really plausible.
The next timeline's interesting. Campbell.
I'm
Joseph
actually
Campbell
no,
dies
but
in.
I will say this. This is very similar to the other GURPS book we read, where it was mostly shit, and then there's like nuggets like this. While I disagree with their time travel, while I disagree with their timeline building sometimes, there is a thought there, and you see that with examples that they do, even if it's really short. I have to give them praise for that.
I wasn't saying not Joseph Campbell. John W. Campbell dies.
Yeah.
As a result, science fiction doesn't develop.
Bullshit.
Radioactive dust
Science
bombs.
fiction was a thing since the 2nd century AD. It would just go down a different path because they'd have to find different inspiration. And honestly, Asimov would have still probably written about robots.
He 100% would have written about robots. He loved robots.
And Heinlein would have still written sci-fi. He just wouldn't pick from Campbell.
So we get this Centrum Beta, which is a weird one.
Well, no, you know what's really cool? Heinlein becomes a soap opera and mystery writer.
That's kind of great.
That's fun.
I would love to see those. Would he still be in his weird threesome relationship?
Oh, that would.
Well, the strange man.
Opera.
Well, you know the strange Martian man, where it's like you gotta grok everyone. It's like a hippie free love thing. Imagine that, but like it's an amnesiac hitchhiker who doesn't know his origins because of and it's like him trying to find out why, like where did he come from? And he's like this free love hippie, and then he finds out that he's like the most square person that ever lived. He was like the squarest guy to have ever lived, and he just had a massive fugue, psychotic break and fugue state. Yeah, like you could do some cool things with that. Sorry, it's really just kind of neat.
The next one is not very interesting. It's a weird one. It's more about the meta plot of this book. So whatever. Next one is Dixie 1, which is
Oh,
Win.
we're not continuing with Campbell and how they hate sci-fi.
no, that's just a short one. It's not very.
And if you're wondering, Centrum Beta is basically this is the key to everything. It's similar to the how in modern Marvel movies or in modern terrible writing, there's the girl who's the key to everything. This is the timeline that's key to everything.
The main problem with Marvel is they decided that we don't have to change our formula for 20 years. Well, my brother in Christ, you need to change your formula after a decade.
The problem is they hired people based on actual racist protocols. Like honest to God racist protocols. And they made garbage and they were allowed to continue to make garbage and not be canceled because of garbage. Because it would look bad. Also putting people who's only ever made independent movies like once or twice onto $200+ million budget films.
Well, of course they do that because then they don't have to pay them.
Awful idea, though.
Awful idea. Anyway, so William Walker conquers Nicaragua, and that causes an a Confederate victory in the American Civil War. Don't know.
How?
Uses that base to break the Union blockade.
There's no canal though, so you'd have to go over the mountains, which would have.
That's
been a
not
bitch.
even that. It's more like because they can get land, they can get stuff through China, through Mexico. I don't fucking know. Whatever. There is now an
Indian Republic for some reason.
Yeah, the Indian Rim is manufacturing.
Wait,
why the
fuck are they playing this with? They're kind of playing around with this for Kaiserreich because the German Empire won like a proto World War I. What the fuck?
Like, it's a Hoy. Well, you're talking about a Hoy 4 mod, so that we're not going to get the results of that until
the Confederacy
at least a
remains
decade.
its charms, including Southern Bell. No, at this point, the Confederacy would have been overthrown by a slave revolt, and you would have seen something similar to a failed African state, or like Latin America during the disastrous Caudillo periods. Like, no, the Confederacy would be a nightmare. It would make Mexico look stable.
There are other Dixies though. One where the Confederacy dominates the Caribbean and the
they
U.S.
put a lot of effort into this weird Southern wank timeline.
Not a lot. They put about 2 pages worth on.
That's more than most of them.
So the
this
US
one, by the way,
and
the most fucking stupid one of these is the is Dixie 5.
Okay, with Early's raid in 1864 and turned to a long British quagmire in America that left the CSA an impoverished British puppet, and the United States a fanatical garrison state between the Canada and the Confederacy. What?
Basically, the United States after the Civil War goes full fucking militarism, which is actually similar to the Turtle Dove series, where basically they went like the full Prussian model of conscription and everything, and like basically like the Germans became their closest allies because fuck the British, fuck the French. They help the Confederates. They can burn.
I will say I like Dixie 6 because that could have actually happened.
Yeah.
First Manassas, and they just sweep into Washington, D.C. Maybe they catch enough of the cabinet and even Lincoln himself.
Yes. In any case, we have this next one, which is just what the fuck.
Pretty bad. That one's not great because it relies on a lot of wishful thinking to get a Confederate victory.
But the next one is where we go, what the fuck?
Azcali, the House of Blood.
Oh no.
1848, by the way, is the year. The divergence point was in 508 BC. Carthaginians discovered the New World and launched the Columbian scourge of diseases and food 2 millennia early.
Okay.
Oh no.
No, that's okay, fair. I like how the Europe and Asia are ruled by Mongol Khans for some reason. I don't know how that happened.
Wait, the Tanoka Empire, a caste-based dictatorship with strong theocratic component, the Songhai Empire, the Haudenosaunee League, Mongol Khanate.
This is basically Coyote and Crow, but actually interesting.
I think that this is just prototype Coyote and Crow.
They say see GURPS Alternate Earths and GURPS Aztecs for further details.
Not a big fan of that particular shilling bit, but fair enough.
It's GURPS. They're going to shill a little bit. I mean, I don't blame RPG writers for like sometimes being like, I'm not going to reprint information in a book again. Please just get the other one.
So basically, in this timeline, Nero was assassinated, which he actually was anyway.
Which one?
Nero was
The-
assassinated earlier, apparently.
Oh, apparently because I know what they're doing. They did Hano. Okay, so the big divergence is actually Hano's expedition. Instead of going to Africa, he accidentally finds the Westerlies. Like during his expeditions further south into Africa, he gets brought on the trade winds. They probably thought he was dead, but he managed to make it to the Caribbean just through sheer gumption and sailing ability. And then he's able to find his way back. It probably took years, but he did it. And that's why things like potatoes and shit happened. Basically, they found a more reliable route. They probably built a better ocean-going barge, maybe based on Celtic design, since they had to deal with that a bit more.
Yeah.
Improved shipping. This is really interesting. The problem is you kind of have to focus on how this would change Europe as well, which they do a little bit, but not enough.
Then there's the next one, which is Friedrich timeline.
Oh no, like there's some cool shit. So apparently, because potatoes are a thing, yeah, Rome kind of completely collapsed because, well, they don't need to rely on start cutting food sources off. The problem is I'd have to the Ascali timeline, I'm not gonna lie, if it wasn't for the fact that this that we can't spend too much time on each one, I would love to go over this with a fine-tooth comb.
It might be in another GURPS book that they go into more detail.
I really think that this one has a lot of potential to be interesting. You might have to tweak and edit some stuff personally, just due to plausibility factor, but I would love to cover this in a book. Like if they made a booklet about Ascali, this would be fun. Anyway, Friedrich!
This one's weird.
So in 1176, Frederick Barbarossa defeats the Italian city-states in the Battle of Lugano, but then doesn't drown in the Third Crusade.
Which that's one of to give you an idea, that's one of the there was a big, especially during dark periods in the Holy Roman Empire history. There's actually a king in the mountain myth surrounding Barbarossa where when things in Germany get bad enough, he will rise from the river to come back and save Germany. I'm not kidding. This is an actual like myth that was occasionally propagated during the medieval period. Because it was just such a what the fuck death, you know? It makes sense. He was fully armored and he's an old man by the time he went there. Because that's the thing, he was old. So he just couldn't swim when he fell in, but still.
He had a heart attack from the cold water, actually.
Yeah, the shock got him. That's one of the things you got to watch out about if you go in cold water. The shock can kill you if you're old enough.
Yeah, so Henry's son Friedrich, the crown prince, had already shown science genius. The new man of the East had brought new methods of machinery and war, was strengthening the rest of the German Roman Empire. Surely Friedrich Barbarossa founded a Reich that will last 1,000 years. And the Nazis have actually been behind this. Nazi time travelers went back to give Barbarossa better technology, and they have assassinated Genghis Khan and bio-bombed Mongolia.
Well, I've completely lost interest.
That's
I'm
so
moving
stupid.
to the next one.
The next one is actually an interesting one.
No, I've completely lost interest.
Gallatin.
That's why I'm saying we're moving on to the next one. Gallatin. Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton dies in the Battle of Trenton, which leads to the libertarian Albert Gallatin becoming the first Secretary of the Treasury. The United States disintegrates.
That actually could have happened early in its formation.
Probably could have happened. People forget how fucking crazy Jefferson really was, politically speaking.
Jefferson legitimately.
We're gonna make everyone farmers.
Well, no, he wanted an Athenian democracy in the sense that only certain types could, the landowners, the ones responsible. He was a weird dude. He wanted a weird agricultural, like hyper-libertarian weird state, like Night Watchman.
That had constant
almost.
Revolutions, Trotskyite style too.
Yeah, it was like the Night
that.
Watchman state where you had the right to murder your president if they went wrong.
Oh,
in other words,
that actually gives me an interesting idea. What if Thomas Jefferson creates communism?
You know, that would be fun. Like Jeffersonianism is actually one of the earliest. Well, no, it wouldn't be. It would be basically the earliest type of like right
The
libertarianism. Like he would
no
be the
no
Rothbard to Rothbard's Rothbard.
the American Rouge. We're years during this.
He did support the Jacobins.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think he only lost his nerves when the Montagnots got in and basically became even more radical.
Yes, so basically the United States of America finally gets a certain amount of stuff, but it's like there's a bunch of these like small border states and just what the fuck?
Like New
All
England
right,
rapidly returning to British sphere of. Yep, that would have happened. The
after its own
Confederation, which would have
unification.
happened. Yeah, like all of this is pretty legit. Like this is actually pretty legit.
Yeah, in any case,
Germany unifying the European continent is horseshit, but you know.
they're under the nuclear Texan umbrella, by the way.
Nuclear Texan umbrella.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
apparently
I
Texas
mean,
decided to
if
create
I could go
nukes.
into other dimensions, this would be one I'd be curious to look at.
Next one is Gernsback.
Gernsback
Let's see.
diverges with the marriage of Nikola Tesla to the daughter of J.P. Morgan.
And remains sane
What?
enough to invent radio.
Well,
So
Nikola
he
Tesla is the last of the mad scientists who married the last of the robber barons.
So he married Anne Morgan, daughter of financier J.P. Morgan, and thus remained sane enough to invent radio and broadcast power with Morgan financing.
So basically, this is your early diesel punk, like the death of steampunk, early diesel punk.
The World Science Council produces an endless stream of super weapons
For the whatever alternate Earths League thing.
from tanks firing particle beams to teleguided missiles.
Cool.
He also stopped the Nazis in this timeline by basically the Dawes Morgan Plan rewrote the German Constitution.
Super wings. What the fuck are those? I want to know what a super wing is.
Oh, this one's
the League of
fun.
Nations still exists. The League of Nations still exists.
Well, yeah, because
The
in this
World
timeline,
Science
yeah.
Council with a League of Peace Forces.
This is fun.
What?
The electronic brains.
This is fun.
Predicting.
This is fun, yeah. Also, apparently in alternate Earths.
This one's fun.
They have
wait,
zombies.
Hold on. I just saw Klingons in the Outworld operations. That they had rounding up all the stray Klingons from a Homeline science fiction convention held on Gernsback's New York.
What?
Basically, I guess
from a convention.
A bunch of nerds.
Oh,
A bunch of
yeah.
nerds came to this world and
Had some trouble.
I mean, unironically, I'd fucking enjoy this world for a bit.
Well, I think there'd be a bit of a danger for this world to be introduced to Star Trek.
Oh God.
Well, to give you an idea, Gernsback is also surprisingly extremely racist and sexist still. Yeah. Like for all of this scientific advancement and for all of this improvement to society, it's kind of stuck in the 1910s to 1930s mindset.
So then there's the Gotha parallels where they're talking.
Oh yeah, these are all hell worlds. Yeah, so hell worlds are worlds that are horrible.
There's a virus outbreak.
Arian.
There is Lenin 2.
Flu. Hold on.
Dude, don't please.
Sorry.
Not you two. Not you, him. So yeah, Arian's basically the Spanish flu is cat and trips, essentially. There's only a few remaining survivors. It's mostly just extremely rich landowners hiding. And then there's the crazy hermit state of Tibet. There's not much left. There's a bunch of post-apocalyptic survivors, though.
Yeah. Then there's the Gotha disease, which is zombies.
Wait. This isn't the answer to the Aryan. There are homeline colonies on there.
Yeah. People went and settled down because they're like, oh, free real estate.
So the Gotha parallels, what happened was, as you're exploring, they found some pretty awful worlds. There was a few surviving fortified town communities that were holding out, and then they found India under the throes of the Thuggee.
Ooh.
These are not the only ones, though. Basically, Gotha worlds, on each of them, a plague would mutate into a prion illness, which is bullshit. What they should have had is instead a prion disease takes hold. So, yeah, Gotha zombies, these are basically you got infected with a mutated protein that slowly destroys your sanity. They become bloodthirsty cannibals. They act more like apes. They're experiencing basically spongiform encephalitis. And it is a slow. Well, actually, in this case, it's a fast-moving plague because they need the zombie plague to go fast. That's why they're using
It's 28 days
viruses.
later?
Well, they're using viruses as the vector, but the problem is when they mention prion diseases, that means that it should actually take years to slowly manifest. But yeah, basically all of these worlds have a shockingly similar disease, which is very scary because that means it can generate in any situation. Especially since it's not just medieval periods, modern times also experience Gotha outbreaks. There are 19 known Gotha parallels.
Yeah, the
And
next one is
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Lenin 2.
Communism. It's not even related to Lenin at all. That's just the weird bit about it. It's
It's
apparently
also
The-
basically they found ruins.
not
Yeah.
really. There's still some people surviving. The main thing is like so the Grand Administration causes a communist revolution in the United States, which spreads it all over the place. China though is capitalist, and then there's like, but the communists cause an environmental collapse, and then yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
The Christian Communist Congressional Party in the USSA found each other as long as they fought the Chinese. The nuclear exchanges didn't do as much damage as total ecological collapse. The Gulf Stream shut down and shifted global weather patterns, which led to mass extinctions and desertification throughout continental
So
interiors.
what happened is in Lenin 2, the essential plot of Fallout happens, only it's mirrored.
So Leviathan is the next one, because I'm trying to get through as many of these as possible.
I don't
Atlantis.
know when this book was published. I think it was the 90s.
No, I think it's 2006 actually.
That would be after the big scandal that happened in the UK's cattle industry.
So next up is Leviathan, which is Atlanteans attack.
Atlanteans attacked
Yeah.
in 1979. Sorry, 1797.
By 1812, the current year, the U.S. is only a few military governments under Andrew Jackson's command pulled back to the Appalachians in the southwest. Britain and France are long gone, but Bonaparte is trapped in Egypt and has declared an empire of the sands. He leads an entire army of Zouaves, Bedouin, and Tuareg with a hardcore of French veterans under Murat.
That's actually cool.
Yeah, this one's kind of fun.
Actually, this one's fun because I don't like it being in the multiverse situation, but I like it as a setting. Because it
Yeah.
has strong War of the Worlds energy.
I
Yeah.
like.
The
so
next one
It also
is
reminds me
Napoleon
of,
becomes.
since we're talking about alternate history stuff, have you ever heard of the books called The Race?
No.
No.
It's a series of books
Oh,
where
no.
an alien race invades Earth. What happens was they scanned it, and what they were analyzing was that it was at a medieval era of settlement, like they scanned it during the 1100s. And they were like, oh yeah, we can kick these guys' ass. So they went in generation sleeper ships for the next 800 years to get there.
Oh no.
They show up right about in the aftermath of World War II. I think it's just when the Germans get defeated. I think it's like
But
right around the time that the Germans and Japanese get defeated. Or was it
I do.
1942?
Oh, that's another turtle dove thing, isn't it?
It is.
I do like how Napoleon basically becomes Lawrence of Arabia,
Yeah?
or Lawrence of the Maghreb.
Yeah. So they.
And they're basically fighting deep ones.
Yeah, the
There's
next one is apparently the people that are if you're playing characters going into this world.
Oh no, they are
you were
fighting deep ones actually. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then
Anyway,
there's
the next
Madland.
one, The next two aren't very interesting. They're just literally, oh, okay. The next one though is like, what the fuck?
If you're wondering what
Oh,
Taft 7
yeah.
is, just really quickly, sterilizing radiation count.
Yeah.
So
Johnson's
Johnson.
Rome.
So a guy. This is actually early in the book. A guy from Homeline goes over to this world and sets it up as almost like a tourist world.
Yeah, this one I remember. Eh.
So he made he made a
Rome on 25 Rome on 25 denarii a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's owned by it's Johnson's Cross Time.
I love the image of the Roman legionary
The
with the cell
Roman
phone.
Legion with a cell phone.
Yeah.
That's fun. The next one is Lenin one, which is like what? But
Roosevelt.
Basically, he dies, and what happens is Henry Wallace was still vice president,
oh yeah.
and they
This is the
decided
one
to.
they were talking about before, right? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
No, that was Reich 5.
Well, this is alongside Reich 5 with that.
Oh yeah.
So what happens is Wallace is a moron because he has to be a moron for this to happen. And without the aggressive stance, the Soviets occupied all of Germany and Japan, even though there's no fucking way that would have happened. And blah, 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 blah.
I like the other
I
worlds though.
I like
Lenin
Lenin.
3,
Let's look at
Mussolini
these
stays
ones.
communist, and
Fun.
his government supported the Catalan workers, who were the anti-Soviet, anti-fascist third force in
There was a
Spain.
bunch of them. In this case, he was actually supporting anarchists of all things, which is pretty funny.
So it's anti.
Although he might be.
Anti-Moscow socialist access.
Well, actually, unironically,
Fuck yes.
it's not just anarchist. He also supported the POUM, which were actually Trotskyites. So we got Fourth International with Italy, baby.
It's weird because Cardenas also joined the anti-Moscow Socialist Alliance.
People forget that he did flirt a lot with socialism in general. He wasn't quite a hardcore because he was committed to trying to make a Mexican democracy. He was also a bit of a micromanager, but he could have. It's very plausible for Cardenas to actually have lent Mexico that way. There's a reason why Vicente Lombardo was actually one of his more reliable guys in his cabinet.
Yeah, the more interesting one of these is actually Lenin 5.
I like Lenin 3. That one's a good one.
Lenin 3 is a good one. Lenin 5, I think, is also very interesting.
Bukharin takes over.
Did not purge the army, therefore the army is in a better state to actually fight back the Wehrmacht in 41.
Yep.
Causing a coup against Hitler that aborts the war. Zhukov takes over after Bukharin's death in 56, denouncing him and revealing the gulags of the West. Zhukov is pursuing full rapprochement with the U.S. against Mao's China, and fascist Germany is remaining neutral.
That's a good one, too, because that's actually pretty plausible. One of the big things that had Soviet fighting forces so bad, besides its logistical hurdles, it would still have those, at least somewhat, is so many people were purged.
Lenin 6. Buchanan wins the dispute against.
Oh, we got a spicy anarchist winning this time.
Yes,
Kropotkin's Balkanite Soviets overthrew. This one's so
wins.
great.
Who are allied with Marxist Death Squad. Yes!
Marxist Death Squad.
Yes!
Written by Lenin, Trotsky, and Dzerzhinsky.
This is good.
That is a wild fucking.
Why are all of these ones so much better?
I don't know. Maybe they're better because they're just short and you can imagine the rest of it.
That's probably it, because the Lenin one is dog shit. I like the U.S. just sitting there going, as the Soviets do horrible things in the Americas.
Next one is Lucifer 5. Black hole slams into, or black hole fragment slams into the Earth.
Oh yeah, in this timeline, it's not a meteor fragment. It's legitimately a micro black hole.
Russia's just obliterated.
I mean, it would.
So What exactly would it do? Would it wipe out the landmass, or?
I don't fucking know.
Well, the problem is they used the black hole fragment. It would have eaten the Earth eventually, probably. Oh, actually, unless it was small enough, it just passed through the Earth and just caused a lot of fucking tectonic damage. That might have
That
happened.
would make sense.
It destroys
By the way-
destroys St. Petersburg. It causes massive earthquakes for a bit, and then yeets its way away. Also, if you're wondering why it's radioactive, we actually, because of our new telescopes, we actually now have photos of black holes shitting out Hawking radiation.
Yeah. Also, Lucifer 4 is a great timeline on the next page.
Yeah, because they find the super meteors and then they do other things with it. Blah blah blah.
So Lucifer 4 is a late Cretaceous parallel where the iridium meteorite is just fallen in Yucatan. On the normal mono world of Lucifer 6, an eccentric comet has entered an Earth-grazing orbit around 2350 BC, causing catastrophic weather shifts every 400 years. Babylonian and Egyptian wizards plan to invade and conquer the comet.
That's cool. That one's really cool.
No, Lucifer 2. Lucifer 2.
The Canterbury event, instead of a meteor storm striking the moon, missed the moon and plowed it across the eastern hemisphere.
I like this one, Merlin. Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Dr. Oppenheimer quoted these words from the Bhagavad Gita on Homeline and elsewhere, but only on one world line did he unknowingly complete a necromantic ritual by doing so. On the world known as Merlin, Oppenheimer ripped open the fabric of reality and a mighty Banestorm blew in and stayed. The Hellstorm, a sorcerer's tornado 2 miles tall, blew Oz particles across his 2,000 stretch in North America. The Manafall awoke the world's magic, especially in the 200-mile radius around Alamogordo, New Mexico. That mana belt became the heartlands of America's post-war growth industry. Magic! This
I
one's
love
fun.
this.
This one's fun.
The Manipul just made the United States more overwhelmingly powerful than it was in Homeline. With almost the entire mana belt in American soil, and with the unbridled forces of capitalism unleashed upon the marvelous new toys Magic brings, it wasn't even close. Teleportation spells put America's Hermes station in orbit in 1968. Dragon riding black berets, the 101st Spellborn Division rolled up the communists in Vietnam.
I knew you would love this one. This is one of the ones I actually remember reading in the summary.
Oh, this is so stupid.
I love it.
Oh my god, I love this.
Flying carpets carried U.S. Special Forces to
Tehran in 1979. The Berlin Wall vanished into thin air in 1990. In a covert 2000 Afghanistan operation, the more supernaturally savvy CIA assaulted the dead Brotherhood zombies planning to destroy the World Trade Center. Even a stronger, more prosperous Mexico redounded to America's
because
benefit.
They were part of the Mana Belt. Mexico got magic too.
The Chinese government has embraced traditional values and capitalism even more firmly in the homeline. The most dangerous communists left in the world are the warlords following a reanimated Joseph Stalin.
Yes!
Oh no!
Yes!
Toxis in a hive mind of
yes!
penguins in Antarctica. What?
Oh, don't forget fascist Argentina.
Oh no, it's esoteric Nazism.
Nazis.
Yes!
Look at this image. Okay. I am saying
we win.
I am putting this image in the Discord.
They have next page.
We win.
We have a picture of the magic penguin.
Yes!
This wins. There's nothing better. Nothing better can possibly be here. Look at this early 2000s Photoshop. Holy fuck.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it.
I love this thing.
By the way, because of Zombie Evita Peron and the magic of the Mana Belt, they beat the British and Falklands with magic.
And there's now
Jim, we got to the good part of the book. Like every GURPS book, we found the nougat of delicious caramel flavor underneath the pile of shit. We found the greatest timeline ever written. Unironically, I love this.
Unironically, there is a Peronic Penguin Pact giving them access to the Queen Maudland Hellstorm, which made them contact the Order of Psychic of Nazis from Reich 5.
I hate that part, but that's fine. It's good. It's good.
Let me repeat this. This means that there's a Nazi Argentinian Penguin Alliance.
What? That
oh my god,
red,
I love
white,
it.
And black all over. Nazi penguins.
Nazi penguins.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, I made this joke, but rules of three. We're gonna call it here for tonight because there's nothing we're gonna do to beat this section.
Well, we have to talk about the other two Merlins quickly, though. The Merlin
Yeah.
2 was a
I'll
Hamas
show
splinter
this one
group
too.
nuked Jerusalem, unleashing the Monoclasm. Another terrorist nuke detonated an oil tanker in Galveston Harbor, obliterated Houston, utterly resulting in hellstorm, but made a vast stretch to the American West high mana as well. A third nuke might well destroy the world line. The patrol, as well as most local governments, is in a non-stop race against terror, while chimeras and monsters wander in America both magical and enraged.
Not as
Merlin
good.
3, though, is fucking great. Only its Hellstorm swallowed Nuremberg, Germany in 1919. The High Mana Zone is almost entirely German or German occupied, giving Germany a sorcerer's edge in this world line's ongoing Second World War.
That one's lame too.
This isn't.
I mean,
They
this is
do
World
say
War
it's in-
II.
Yeah.
I mean, that almost could be fun, but
That's a separate book.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Merlin one might be in GURPS Technomancer.
It
GURPS,
is.
Here's the thing.
It
Merlin
is in
1 is
GURPS
the
Technomancer,
superior
but
of all of these.
Merlin 1 is the ultimate, though, because how do you top undying Peronist zombie Nazis with a Joseph Stalin that has been resurrected from the dead as a lich
Ruling
that's
Russian
running around?
warlords. Disunified Russian warlords from Belarus.
Like, what the fuck do you even say about this setting? Like
You also have rising fascist paramilitaries in Romania and Egypt.
yeah, like
You can't
what
beat
the
this
fuck?
one.
You can't.
God.
What? Hold on. Yeah. Oh no! I just saw the phrase Merlin Walmart, and it just
Merlin
conjured
Walmart sounds like the
so many
worst
wonderful
place on the planet.
ideas.
Merlin Walmart. So we'll look at the myth parallels next time. There's still more to this book.
Oh, actually, this is not. Merlin's CIA has sent agents to investigate Homeline. Fuck you! I hope they win.
Yeah, they're the best in this one. I think we can call it here for tonight.
We really can, because this is about as good as you're gonna get.
And I am flipping through, and I do see one where Nazis take over Mesopotamia.
Okay. You're ruining our post-Penguin High, dude.
I mean, some of
Penguin
these are like,
Argentinian alliance.
I mean, some of these are like, oh, that's weird. Others are like, wow, this is kind of neat. The United States of Lizardia.
We should get to close it with Lizardia.
Okay.
No, we don't have to close it with Lizardia. Let's just do the next one because it's kind of a short one, and it's also kind of interesting too.
Which one? Because there's Burton,
Nergal.
Mandeville, Camelot, Nottingham, Sherlock.
These are all basically just parallels of fantasy worlds, so it's not really that interesting.
Yeah.
I
mean,
Nergal,
okay,
though,
I guess we'll continue.
Let's just stop after Nergal because I think that Nergal is a good place to stop.
Apparently, someone's dead set on getting to the lizard people. They are not.
That's basically the rest of this chapter, though. Let's not do that.
All right.
Okay, so the concept of Nergal is pretty simple. Assyria manages to destroy monotheism by essentially wiping out Israel completely.
Boo.
Yeah, basically, the Assyrian armies kind of were able to sweep in and destroy everything. And thankfully, the Assyrian tyranny couldn't last forever. It lasted long enough to destroy the Medes and Persians. So instead of the Persian Empire, you got China speaking Iranic.
Yeah. You've also got like a bunch of other kind of neat stuff like Celtic pirate raids over in Mexico. There's there's going to be like this throwdown between the Assyrians and the Aztecs over who's going to control the world. Which, Yeah.
I agree, Squirrel Killer. We cannot
Yeah.
go any further, but these motherfuckers want to continue, so we're doing it.
Let's stop. I was just like, I
Folks,
wanted to stop
stop.
there because it's a good place to stop, because we'll get into the other really weird fun ones after this.
Oh, I mean, there's Nostradamus as well in Orichalcum, but yeah, we'll feed
Let's
that
stop
for
here.
the Lizardia because they put a lot of effort for some reason in that one.
I mean, they've put a lot of effort into a lot of these.
Oh yeah, a lot of them. Anyway,
So-
more details about Nergal because I think this one's kind of interesting. They just kind of fucked it up. For some
Yeah.
reason, people want to keep emulating the most murderous motherfuckers on the planet. I can
The
understand
Assyrians,
some
yes.
of it, but as a whole, I would imagine eventually that cultural would change, similar to how sacrifice used to be a thing among the Canaanites, like actual human sacrifice. That stopped. So I kind of don't think that one's plausible. Also, Phoenicians had coinage. That was more of a Lydian thing.
Yeah.
What else do they got? The Persian caste lords in China. Oh, no, in India. I guess they settled India instead.
Yeah. This just
Yeah.
sounds more like the setting for the most hardcore fucking like showdown of all time. Of like, yeah, you've got the Aztecs versus the fucking Assyrians. Are you ready for atrocity nightmare time? That's kind of why I was like, this is great.
I think this is our fourth false ending. What are we? Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, the movie?
No, we're the Sopranos. We're just gonna end mid sentence.
So, I don't know what we're gonna cover next week because I want to. Wait a minute. We covered Merlin, and I don't feel like puking my brains. Ars Magica.
We could do Ars Magica. Which edition? Which book? Because there's a lot of them.
I don't know. I have only ever read one of them.
I think it's just fifth, which I sent you. And fifth
Uh,
doesn't do a very good job of explaining the setting in its core, which
Another
is
fun
a
one, since
shame.
World of Darkness is very fun for everyone involved. We could always cover a Mage the Ascension book.
Is it time to do Chaos Factor?
You know, it might actually be. Although we might want to save
Oh
that for
boy,
Festivus.
that is true. That is more of a Festivus thing.
Okay. I have no
do we want
idea
to do
what
fun or do we want to do traumatizing?
I mean, if we want to do traumatizing, I already know the book. I just have to find it in the dumpster somewhere. All I know is that next week we're covering something magical. It won't beat the Argentinian Penguin Alliance, but it's gonna be
Argentinian Penguin
magical.
Nazi Alliance. You got to forget the magical Nazis from another timeline that are also working with magical penguin sorcerers. Like, yeah.
You're not beating that, but we will look into more magical settings. I don't know if it's going to be Ars Magica, a mage book, or just something else.
Well, whatever it is, it's going to be interesting.
And I'll be much more coherent, hopefully. Maybe. Probably not.
Look, there's no way we can top the Penguins. There just is no way.
Is there anything to top penguins?
No. Like
Well, that sells it.
I will be eternally disappointed that ours will never have magical sorcerer penguins.
That work with the Nazis and the Argentinians.
Yeah.
Led by an immortal Evita Peron.
Like, how do you?
I think I understand where the perfect drink guy from the SCP Foundation kind of came from now. Because once you experience that, it's just like, is there really a point?
Like,
You know?
I mean, that apparently there's more of it in the Technomancer book, but like
There is.
there is. Okay. Like, I'm not sure if we should just quickly dive into that next week and just go, yeah, here's the rest of this stupid setting thing.
I'm concerned because it's a GURPS book, so odds are good they'll fuck it up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'll either be the nougaty center or it'll be the shit sandwich. It'll be one or the two.
I mean, we had a couple of interesting ones here.
Fuck it. Let's just for safety's sake, we'll pick Ars or some horrible book. There's a horrible book that was shared in the Discord. I'll see if I can find a dumpster copy.
Vellum Magica? No. I will not attend if we have that one going. I'm sorry. Like that's just not even.
Well, you don't want to look at another magic system that might contend with.
I don't
can't
want to
even
deal with
continue.
another really retarded magical system. I'm just not gonna lie.
Nah, that's
Like,
not gonna
I've-
be next week.
I've-
I think
I've
we're just
dealt-
gonna
I've dealt
cover
with a lot.
Ars. We're gonna cover Ars Magica. I don't know what book at the moment. It'll just be an Ars Magica book. Might be the Budapest
Probably-
one. I don't know.
The Transylvanian Tribunal.
Yeah, we might just do Transylvanian Tribunal.
That's probably the best one of the setting books that they released.
Okay, so
for
next
fifth,
week we'll
which-
do Ars Magica's 5th edition Transylvanian Tribunal. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Cut to black while everyone's confused.